Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video I'm just going to give a few tips of one method of dyeing faux fur. So this is just a method that I've used to get a really light coat of the faux fur colouring. So I'm going to be using this textile paint by Jacquard in sky blue, and I wanted sort of an icy kind of blue, so the paint usually turns out a lot lighter than what it is on the bottle, so it's just something to keep in mind as well. So starting off with this white fur, it's Mongolian faux fur, and I like the texture on it, so I wanted a sort of blue undertone to it. So what I'm doing now is I'm mixing in a small amount of paint in water. So this particular paint can be mixed with water and used in an airbrush or however way you want. So I'm watering it down quite a lot because I want the water to soak into the faux fur so it gets a nice colouring, and I can squeeze it out and it sort of distributes a lot more if it's watery as well. So usually the mix ratio is 20% water to the paint, and then I'm just using my finger to mix it in because I'm going to be getting my hands dirty anyway. Probably should be wearing gloves when you're doing this, but I'm a bit of a rebel. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to pour the entire amount of water paint mix onto the actual faux fur, and this paint is a little bit clumpy. I think it's getting a little bit old, so I probably need to go and buy some more, but it works well when you wash it out. So I'm adding some more water to make it distribute a bit more, and then I'm going to wring it out because I didn't want it to be very blue. I only wanted sort of a hint of blue and to have the ends of the faux fur white. So I'm again rinsing out any excess paint that I have and I don't want. So rinsing it out in water will essentially get rid of the paint that you've put on. Mostly, it'll still dye it, but it will mostly get rid of the paint. So here's what we had, and this is what I was kind of going for. I wanted a bit more white on the ends, but not to worry because you can just rinse it out a bit later. So moving on to the next piece, and again just pouring over that water paint mixture. I did a little bit more slowly this time and make sure I mixed it a bit more thoroughly, and I'm just working in the paint. And then going to add some water just to distribute that paint around and wringing it out. So if you want a darker color, you wouldn't want to wring it out too much. You want to just wet it and just leave it to dry properly. But as I wanted it to only have a hint of this paint, I would wring it out. So of course, if you wring it out, that means it will dry a lot faster, but if you leave it wet and leave it to dry, it'll obviously take longer to dry. But when I want more paint, I end up just leaving it out in the sun for a day or two. So the next bit is the one underneath. So this will be a mane of a lion, and I didn't have the coloured fur that I wanted, so I decided to dye it, and what better to make a video as well. So again, pouring paint on and putting it under the water and then wringing it out. So this one dyed a little bit darker, so I ran it under the water a little bit longer, and then I went back and had a look if I was happy with all the other pieces, and then I ended up wringing some of it out a bit more just to get some white back into the fur. So different furs will react differently to the paint as well. Since this is Mongolian faux fur and it's a sort of different texture to any other Mongolian faux fur that I had, it's really absorbent of the paint and it keeps its shape. For other ones, like a straight, thicker one as well, the paint will take a lot longer to absorb, so it's also something to keep in mind. So Mongolian faux fur is quite thin, so you don't need a lot of paint, and if you use a thicker fur, you'll obviously need more paint and more water for it to penetrate. So also dyeing faux fur won't affect the texture as much as airbrushing will. This particular fur didn't affect the texture at all. So what I'm doing is I'm actually drying it with a hairdryer, and I'd probably recommend starting off the drying process with a hairdryer, or if it's a really sunny day, putting the faux fur piece in the sun, if you have the time, that is. but I didn't really have the time for this, and I wanted to kickstart the drying process. So usually with fabric paints, they are heat set, so you do want to apply some heat to them just so that paint can lock in place. I've never had a problem with something that wasn't heat set, but I usually leave my faux fur in the sun for a day, so that has quite a lot of heat, given I'm in Australia. The sun's pretty intense down here, but today was pretty overcast, so I actually got the hairdryer out and just run through all of the pieces, starting off the drying process. Just be careful not to burn your hand. So I hope this helped you out a little bit with some dyeing. Definitely give it a try. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also check me out on Instagram and Facebook at Creatures of Nat, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!